So if you're in no contact right now and it feels like you're losing your mind, checking your ex's social media at 3 a.m., typing and deleting messages, feeling like you might actually die from this pain, congratulations, you're doing no contact right. So it's Max. Today we're gonna talk about why no contact feels like absolute hell, why that's actually a sign that it's working, and what's really happening in your brain when you feel like that, when you feel like you can't survive another day without reaching out to your ex. Now, most people think that no contact is just about giving your ex space to miss you, and that's part of the reason, but that's not the full story. The real purpose of no contact is much darker, much harder, and much more important than that. And if you're not suffering through it, at least a little bit, you're probably not doing it right. Now, before we dive into this emotional hellscape, a quick reminder, I have got a free cheat sheet for you, a one-page downloadable PDF that lays out from A to Z my approach to reattracting an ex through honesty and self-improvement. No manipulation, no games, just a really useful ethical roadmap. The link to this resource, free resource, is in the description below this video. So grab it. You might want to read through it, go through it. Now let's get to the point. Let's start with what's actually happening in your brain. So when you're in a relationship, especially an intense one, your brain gets flooded with dopamine every time you interact with your partner. Every text, every touch, every I love you, it's all a hit of the good stuff. Now that supply is cut off. Cold turkey. Your brain is literally going through withdrawal just like a drug addict. And I'm not being dramatic here, like brain scans of people going through breakups look very similar to brain scans of people withdrawing from a cocaine addiction, you know? That's why you feel so insane. That's why you're obsessing, maybe you can't eat, you can't sleep, you can't focus on anything else. Like your brain is screaming for its fix, and every time you resist checking your ex's Instagram or sending them a text message, you're forcing your brain to start healing from this addiction. Now the pain you're feeling, that's not love, that's, like I said, withdrawal. And the only way through it is, well, through it. And here's what no one tells you about constantly obsessing about your ex during no contact. When you're lying in bed, you're, let's say, replaying every conversation, analyzing every moment, wondering what they're doing right now. That's not actually about them, about your ex. It's about you avoiding your own pain. So, you see, obsessive thoughts, rumination, obsession in general, it feels productive. It feels like you're doing something, working towards a solution maybe, but it's actually just your mind's way of avoiding the real work. Sitting with the uncomfortable feelings of abandonment, rejection, and being alone, for example. Like I still remember during my worst breakup, like I spent hours researching stuff like signs your ex wants you back, reading the same articles over and over and over again, listening to the same videos. Why? Because it was easier than facing the fact that I felt worthless without my ex's validation. It was easier than admitting that I'd built, at that point, my entire identity around another person. So the obsession is a defense mechanism, and until you stop feeding it, you can't really heal from it. That's why no contact is so brutal. It forces you to face yourself without the distraction of chasing after your ex. Now let me walk you through what you're gonna feel once you start no contact, so at least you know that you're not going actually crazy. First week, it's gonna be pure panic. Your body is gonna be in fight or flight mode. You'll draft probably hundreds of messages that you'll never send to your ex actually. You'll find excuses to break no contact, like I need to get my favorite hoodie back or something like that, or it's my ex's birthday next month, whatever. Like this is your brain desperately trying to get its fix, and it's bullshitting itself to get what it wants. Now weeks 2 to 4, this is where usually depression hits, the panic subsides a little bit, but now you're left with the emptiness. And this is when people usually break. They think, I feel worse than before, this isn't working, so they reach out. And this is the wrong way to go about it. Like, this is exactly where the real work begins, where you begin to rebuild things. Now, in month 2, that's when anger usually arrives. And that's good. Anger means you're starting to value yourself again. It means that you're out of maybe the depression phase of the breakup, which is like the more annoying and exhausting one to be in when you're trying to maintain no contact. So, in this anger phase, you'll remember the shit that maybe your ex has put you through, the red flags you ignored, and I want you to let yourself feel it. Like, this is part of the process. And now, month 3 and beyond, this is when something shifts for most people. Again, this is just like a rough pattern that I see with people. It might not apply to actually your situation, so take that with a grain of salt. I am making here on purpose to better conceptualize the whole thing a giant generalization. Okay, so this is just a pattern that I see time and time again. It's not something that applies for everyone. So, back to the topic. This month 3 and beyond is usually when something shifts in people. So, you might have a day where you realize you actually didn't think about your ex until noon. Then a day where you actually don't check their social media. Like, these small victories, they add up. And it makes you feel better. But here's the thing, okay? You can't skip stages. You can fast forward through the pain. Every time you break no contact, you reset the clock. And that's even more important to note, right? You can go through all these phases, all these stages, whatever you want to call them. But if you keep breaking no contact, you are only prolonging your time staying stuck in these stages. Very important to note. Another important note is that you need this pain. Not in some weird masochistic way, but because pain is info. It's information. It's showing you where you're broken. If you can't be alone, for example, without falling apart, that's a problem that existed before your ex left, probably. If your entire self-worth crumbles without external validation, your ex didn't cause that. They just revealed it. The hell of no contact forces you to confront these sorts of issues. It's like a broken bone. It has to be reset before it can heal properly. And resetting it, well, it fucking hurts. Most people, they try to avoid this pain by jumping into a rebound relationship, staying friends with their ex as if that ever works out, or breaking no contact every few weeks. This is like the most common thing that happens, in fact. They're just prolonging their suffering. They're prolonging their healing. They're keeping the wound open. Like, I had a client oh so long ago who, and I usually have these clients often, in fact, but this specific one, he kept breaking no contact every, I think it was like 2 weeks for 6 months. And each time he'd feel, sure, some temporary relief, but then feel worse than before. And it wasn't until he finally committed to 3 solid months of no contact that he started to actually heal. And he told me later that those 3 months were hell, but they kinda saved his life. And even better, after those 3 months, as it happens occasionally, his ex reached out. And they started dating again. Don't know if they're still together or not. This was, like I said, a long time ago. But this is usually how things go. Except for, of course, the ex-back stuff. That's something that, like I said, happens only occasionally, sadly. Like, most of the time, exes don't get back together, but the recovery timeline is as I described. So what I'm saying is that ultimately the pain of no contact is the price of freedom. Freedom from needing your ex, freedom from the addiction, freedom to actually choose what's best for you, not what your desperate brain is demanding. So look, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. No contact is one of the hardest things you're gonna ever do. You're gonna feel like you're dying, but believe me, if you stick with it, if you convince yourself that you will not reach out, you're gonna heal way faster, and you're gonna skyrocket your chances of getting back with your ex, of actually getting them to miss you more, to think about you more, and to eventually reach out from where on out you can begin the reattraction process and begin to actually rekindle and mend things. And like I said many times in these videos, your ex reaching out first while you're in no contact, like this is probably the best thing that can happen for reattraction. It's kind of like the green light that things are going in the right direction, a direction towards getting back together. So when it happens, you want to be ready. And so you really should download my free resource, my free reattraction cheat sheet that I just mentioned a few minutes ago. It shows you the practical bits and pieces, the practical steps and tips, from A to Z when it comes to getting back with an ex. It literally unveils my entire system. You should download this resource if you're into this kind of stuff. The link is in the description below this video. Go and grab it if you want, and that's it from my side. Hope you enjoyed this little video, and take care.